Okay, welcome back to the Beowulf essay. Today I'm going to review one way that you could have done your second and third body paragraph. I don't necessarily want you to go back and copy what I do for your body paragraphs, but I do want you to look carefully at what you have done and what I do right now and compare them and use it as an opportunity to learn and to see where you are in your learning process with regard to writing an essay. All right, so I'm just going to show you one way that it could be done. So on my second body paragraph, I go and I look, as I always do, at my blue essay structure sheet. And I know my 4 keys to good writing are to use synonyms and sentence variety, so don't always start things with the same words and don't always repeat words. So I go to my topic sentence and I say, okay, this is my second body paragraph, so I can start with secondly. And then I want to give my reason, which proves my claim thesis. So I have to look at my claim thesis. My claim thesis is, in the story, darkness represents evil and the light stands for good. But there are also symbols which are a mixture of both. In my second body paragraph, I'm really going to be talking about how light is a symbol for goodness. Secondly, throughout the story, light is a symbol for goodness. Then I go to my context. My context up here, I was using one example is when and another example is when. Other context sentence starters are in the beginning, in the middle, in the end, or right after, or just before. So I look at this piece of evidence. Grendel did not know the word love or the word good. To him, they were part of the light he hated. There had been such light about that woman. So this is when Grendel is remembering Wealhtheow and the light that she had. So I would say in the middle of, well, let's not do in the middle of the novel. Let's look at our blue packet and make sure we're choosing a good one. Right after or just before. Oh, you know what? We could do just before Grendel and Beowulf battle to the death. The monster recalls a memory of Queen Wealhtheow. It's a tough one to spell. All right, so I use my sentence frame just before. So just before Grendel and Beowulf battle to the death, the monster recalls a memory of Queen Wealhtheow. And then this quote is his memory of Queen Wealhtheow. Now we're ready to connect. So we have to prove what it is in this quote that is a symbol of light. And we go and we look at our essay structure sheet. We've got some sentence frames here. Let's look at what we used in the first body paragraph. In the first body paragraph, we used clearly and the fact that. So let's mix it up and try a different one. So let's go from this quote, one can infer, or this demonstrates how. Let's go with this demonstrates how. This demonstrates how light stands for good because Wealhtheow is a heroic character that saves let's go ahead. So this is our claim. Light stands for good. If you look at the essay structure, it says this demonstrates how, and you say the claim, and then because. So what is it in this that shows that she stands for good? Okay. This demonstrates how light stands for good. That's the claim. Because, and then we have to say what it is in there. Because Wealthy is a hero that saves her husband from the monster by emitting, by giving off light. Okay? So, we've done the connect. That was that right there. Now we need to do the go deeper. So, in go deeper, we want to say why is it important that she gives off light? And what happens later. So what's important about the fact that she gives off light is, if you remember back to the book, it scares Grendel. And Grendel flees, and he decides not to kill Hrothgar. And so Wealhtheow's love has effectively saved Grendel, or saved Hrothgar from Grendel. So let's see if we've got go deeper now that later in the future, or we can use why is that important as a sentence frame. This is important because Grendel is scared off by her love because he can't stand the feeling. And Hrothgar is able to live. So this is important because Grendel is scared off by her love because he can't stand the feeling, and Hrothgar is able to live. Now we go on to our context for our next quote. Let's see what our blue essay structure sheet says. In the beginning, middle, end, and the right after, just before, it says. Okay, so let's see what we want to do here. Okay, so now we're going to be the part where Beowulf is killing Grendel. So just before Grendel knew. So after Grendel remembers Wealhtheow, I feel like I'm spelling that wrong. W-L-H? Oh. Beowulf grabs hold. So you'll notice I said grabs hold of him, but I changed that to grabs him strongly because I see that hold, it isn't here. And when you want to use a different way of saying that. So Beowulf grabs him strongly. Beowulf said, "Light holds you, Grendel, light has you in its power. You who have shunned the sun meet me once stung by bees that drank the sun." So now we need to do connect. So go back to this, we'll say the text shows, or the excerpt shows. Well, it looks like down here we do this demonstrates. Looks like I use that in my third body paragraph here. And I use the text after it shows, so I don't want to see if I can use ones not like that. From this quote one can infer. I haven't used that one. From this quote, one can infer that. And we'll look back at this here. We want to give the claim, and then because, and explain the evidence. So the connect always connects the claim and the evidence. Evidence, claim. It's a sentence frame that makes us connect it back to what we're trying to prove. So from this quote, one can infer, and we can say what our claim is. Light symbolizes good because Beowulf is a hero and it describes how he is filled with light. All right, the go deeper. Why is it important? Why is it important that he's filled with light? So what happens, I'm going off script. I'm using my own sentence frame, because in go deeper I say now that or later in the future. You could use either of those, but I'm going to go with what happens, just for fun. Well, actually, let's go with now that. Now that Grendel is caught in the light, he struggles and wants to get away because he hates it. All right, now I actually want to do a little bit more go deeper because I think there's more to be said about this, and oftentimes your go deeper should be more than just one sentence. So I'm going to continue this. So what does Grendel do after this? So now that Grendel is caught in the light, he struggles and wants to get away because he hates it. Beowulf holds on, and Grendel's arm is ripped off, and the monster bleeds to death because of his fear of the light. All right, now I want to read this paragraph. Secondly, throughout the story, light is a symbol for goodness. Just before Grendel and Beowulf battle to the death, the monster recalls a memory of Queen Wealhtheow. Grendel did not know the word love or the word good. To him, they were part of the light he hated. There had been such light about that woman, page 41. This demonstrates how light stands for good, because Wealhtheow is a heroic character that saves her husband Hrothgar from the monster by giving off light. This is important because Grendel is scared off by her love, because he can't stand the feeling, and Hrothgar is able to live. After Grendel, and then we go on to our next context. After Grendel remembers Wealhtheow, Beowulf grabs him strongly. Beowulf said, "Light holds you, Grendel. Light has you in its power. You who have shunned the sun meet me once stung by bees that drank the sun." From this quote, one can infer that light symbolizes good because Beowulf is a hero, and it describes how he is filled with light. Now that Grendel is caught in the light, he struggles and wants to get away because he hates it. Beowulf holds on, and Grendel's arm is ripped off, and the monster bleeds to death because of his fear of the light. You can see that this second sentence of the go deeper is really key, and you want to get good at maybe going deeper twice. Okay, if you can. All right, we get to this last paragraph. Finally, in the story, there are many symbols which mix light and dark, showing that. So I'm going to go even deeper. You could, if you wanted to, just have this be your topic sentence. Finally, in the story, there are many symbols which mix light and dark. But I'm going to go ahead and explain a little bit about that as well. Finally, in the story, there are many symbols which mix light and dark, showing that all humans are fighting a battle inside of themselves. Okay? All right, right after, so I suggest that things aren't so simple. Okay, so when does this happen? I suggest that things aren't so simple, so in black and white. Even the wickedest person can do good for someone. The truly good man finds good where he can. So this is right after they have a conversation about apples. Right after Beowulf and Unferth have a conversation about apples planted by witches. Let's say thought to be planted by witches. It says, I suggest things aren't so simple, so black and white. Even the wickedest person can do good for someone. The truly good man finds good where he can. This demonstrates how there are symbols with both light and dark, because, so what is it in the evidence that's light and dark? Because Beowulf explains that things are never just black or white. Okay? Now we need to go deeper. Why is it important? Why is it important that Beowulf sees that things are not just black or white? This is important because Beowulf understands the mixture of good and evil inside of himself and seeks out his own goodness. All right. This is important because Beowulf understands the mixture of good and evil inside himself and seeks out his own goodness. Now, what's interesting about this is you've had one sentence of go deeper, but you could actually say another intelligent thing by comparing it to Unferth. Unferth, on the other hand, is attracted to the evil and ends up with a miserable existence. Okay? So if you can say something about this that continues to be on topic but adds more depth, I highly recommend doing it. All right. Now we're going to get to this Raven quote. And we're going to say that this is in the middle of the novel. And when we want to come up with like a title for this, Raven now mentioned a raven is described outside of Beowulf's window. So I say where and when it occurs, okay? Who's involved? The raven now managed 3 ascending notes of great purity. Then it took its wings as though casting off night forever. The text excerpt shows that, so we need to explain the evidence. So what is it that's a mixture in the evidence? It's the fact that the raven is a dark bird, black bird, that cannot sing, but it keeps trying and then it's able to sing. So the excerpt shows a raven, which is often considered a dark and ominous symbol, trying to sing. Actually, let's go with the excerpt shows a raven, which is often considered a dark and ominous symbol, singing beautifully, which means that it is a symbol which mixes both good and bad. Okay? So the excerpt shows a raven, which is often considered a dark and ominous symbol, singing beautifully, which means it is a symbol which mixes both good and bad. Okay, why does the author do it? Why is it important? So So we can say we want to explain what happened. So we say just before this, the raven was singing poorly, but Beowulf encouraged it, and then it became successful. This is important because it shows how humans are the same. And if we are given positive reinforcement, oopsies, we can also become better and improve. All right. That is a review of the second and body paragraph. You can compare that to what you've done and hopefully learn. You don't have to copy what I've done, but I do want you to think about it and see what you've done. All right, that's how you learn how to write. Great talking to you today. Hope you enjoyed it. Thanks for being such a wonderful student.